Chapter 37. Shu Jin's older sister. If this were the real world, the full moon would only appear once every month. However, this was the world beyond the door. A mysterious place where reason and rationality didn't exist. According to what they've experienced these past few days, they were practically reliving the same moments. Every day, they ate the same meals, visited the same places, and listened to the tour guide speak the same lines. The next morning, the floor of their room wasn't covered with bloody handprints. And Lin Chushi's suspicions were confirmed only on the night of the day they went to visit the pagodas. Would Shu Jin quietly sneak out in the middle of the night and tear off her skin? Today, they were going to visit the area surrounded by towers again. Ruan Nanju decided that he would bring out the drum from the pagoda this time. Although this was rather risky on his part, he was left with no other choice since there were no other leads as of this moment. With that being said, he could only take action and hope for the best. After hours of journeying on foot, they finally reached the group of towers. Sure enough, the tower that had previously transformed into a bone pagoda, once again, returned to its original appearance. The spire of the pagoda extended far into the sky, reaching past the clouds. Almost half of it was shrouded by the heavy mist atop this mountain wilderness. Before Lin Chushi and Ruan Nanji's group headed straight for the top of the pagoda, they handed Shu Jin over to Li Dongyuan, with the excuse that the tower was too dangerous for a girl like her. Since Shu Jin was often afraid, they said it was best for her to remain below for now, under someone else's protection. Shu Jin opened her mouth in response, seemingly wanting to go with them. But Li Dongyuan interrupted her. Smiling gently, he reached out and put a hand on her shoulder, reassuring her, "Don't worry. Just wait for them patiently down here with me. They'll be just fine." Shu Jin nodded hesitantly. After the matter with Shu Jin was settled, Lin Chushi and the others proceeded to advance towards the roof. During their climb, Ruan Nanju started. "Remember the mural we saw before that incident yesterday? You're referring to the one in the room, right?" Lin Chushi couldn't forget even if he wanted to. "Yes," replied Ruan Nanju. "I thought a lot about the message behind the mural last night, and I think I finally understand it now." Lin Chushi wondered, "So what does it mean?" As they discussed amongst themselves, they eventually reached the top of the pagoda. Just when they rounded the corner, Cheng Qianli, who was walking up ahead, suddenly halted. Although he didn't utter a sound, Lin Chushi could clearly see the overwhelming terror filling his wide eyes. Startled, Lin Chushi's heart began to beat wildly, and he asked in a whisper, "What's wrong?" "There's someone's there." Cheng Qianli stiffly turned his head, immense fear leaking from his voice. On the drum someone sitting. Lin Chushi stepped forward to get a better view, and was soon met with the same sight that paralyzed Cheng Qianli to the spot. It was a woman sitting atop the small red drum. Although the woman's back was facing them, they knew exactly who it was just from the other's clothes. It was Shu Jin, who was supposed to be downstairs with Li Dongyuan. Shu Jin was currently half kneeling on the drum, and her posture seemed disturbingly deformed, abnormally crooked. She slowly raised her hand. Seeing that she was just about to knock on the drum underneath her, Ruan Nanju shouted, "Shu Jin! Your older sister is searching for you." Suddenly, Shu Jin paused, her hand suspended mid-air. Ruan Nanju continued, "She's wondering when you plan to return her skin back to her." Shu Jin slowly twisted her head around, and the moment she faced them, everyone's breath hitched in their throats. What was before them wasn't the Shu Jin they were familiar with, but a gory, hollowed mask of human skin. The freshly peeled skin retained the shape of a human, as if supported by a skeleton, allowing it to stand on the drum's surface without sinking to the floor. From the front, they could even see the bloody tissues and organs underneath that flimsy strip of flesh. Cheng Qianli nearly screamed bloody murder in that very instant, fortunately. He tightly covered his mouth with his hands in time, muffling his yelps of terror. Shu Jin? Lin Chushi's breathing was slightly chaotic and cold sweat dripped down his spine. Presently, he was doubting himself. He didn't know whether the living human skin before him was Shu Jin or her older sister. Ruan Nanju was the most composed among the three. Despite being confronted by such a grisly sight, his expression didn't fluctuate in the slightest. He took out the bone flute and calmly placed it to his lips, playing a mellow tune. Ah! An ear-splitting shriek erupted from the human skin. Its mouth split wide open, and shrill cries spilled endlessly from that gaping hole on its face. Lin Chushi's hearing was as sensitive as always. The abrupt and deafening screams sent Lin Chushi into a shock. His eyes rolled into the back of his head and he collapsed to the ground. Seconds away from fainting, through his hazy view, he barely caught a glimpse of the bloody human skin frenziedly rushing towards them, before he fell into unconsciousness. Someone was yelling. The quarreling voice grew louder and louder, more and more heated. The sharp noises rang in his ears, giving him a headache. Struggling to move, he opened his eyes a slit, only to see Ruan Nanju and Li Dongyuan. The two seemed to be arguing about something. The atmosphere between them was far from good. Li Dongyuan attempted to placate the other, Zhu Meng. I truly apologize. I honestly hadn't foreseen this. It was certainly beyond my expectations. At Li Dongyan's mild apology, Ruan Nanju disdainfully hissed, if apologies were of any use. There would be no need for anyone to die. Li Dongyuan, there's always a way to fix this. Ruan Nanju was just about to snap back when he saw that Lin Chushi had awakened. Almost immediately, his attitude did a complete 180. His eyes sparkled brightly and he instantly got into his new role. He threw himself at Lin Chushi and wept tragically, "Oh, my dearest hubby, you finally woke up. It was so awful. I was being bullied terribly while you were gone, ah. Others scorned us and harassed us, calling us widow and orphan. They just wouldn't let us live in peace, Wa Lin Chushi." Widow and orphan? Okay, let's say that you are playing the widow, but where the hell did this orphan come from? Ruan Nanju reached out and harshly knocked against the head of Cheng Qianli, who was minding his own business, munching on some dry bread at the side. "Stupid son, your father is calling you." Cheng Qianli calmly put his bland food down and, a bit too invested in his role, exaggerated howled, "Wah, wah, Dad, dearest mother was being bullied." "Wah, Lin Chushi, Cheng Qianli, snap out of it. There's no need for you to put so much effort into your role. Please, stop going along with Ruan Nanju's script, ah." Trying his best to control his expression and prevent it from distorting any further, Li Dongyuan watched the two's performance with pursed lips. He took a long, deep breath, seemingly suppressing his emotions, and said, "When we get out of this place, I promise to meet you again." Ruan Nanju sneered, refusing to speak or pay him any more heed. Shaking his head in pity, Lin Chushi thought to himself, "You really should give up while you have the chance. I am afraid that once you get out of here and see Ruan Nanju again, you'll receive an even greater shock." He heaved himself up off the ground and vigorously rubbed his ears. He could still feel that uncomfortable sensation of buzzing. "Just what happened?" Ruan Nanju briefly stated, "It rushed towards us." Lin Chushi, and then? Ruan Nanju, "Then I talked sense into it for about 10 minutes. Lin Chushi, Ruan Nanju. It seemed to have found reason in my convincing argument, so it left." Lin Chushi, "Are you having fun?" Ruan Nanju, "Tons." Lin Chushi, "I see. That's good. Well, as long as you're having fun. I suppose it's fine. After he had his fun messing with the other, Ruan Nanju properly explained to Lin Chushi what had happened just now. When Lin Chushi collapsed after hearing the skin monster's screams, Ruan Nanju grew furious. Taking advantage of the moment the skin monster pounced to attack them, Ruan Nanju promptly dived for the scarlet drum. He raised the bone flute high and aimed the drum's surface, threatening to smash it if that thing continued to cause a ruckus and anger him one more time. The skin monster seemed to have retained some of its intelligence, for it actually stopped. It then made its way to a nearby wall and merged with it, eventually vanishing before their eyes. Afterwards, Ruan Nanju and Cheng Qianli dragged the unconscious Lin Chushi down the building with great difficulty, only to spot Li Dongyuan standing by himself on the first floor. Ruan Nanju immediately inquired about Xu Jin. Li Dongyuan simply pointed outside and said that he stepped out for a quick smoke, yet, when he turned around, Xu Jin had long disappeared from his sight, and he didn't know where she had run off to. Ruan Nanju grew incredibly incensed when he heard this, and he snarled at the other. I handed her over to you for you to keep watch on her, and this is how you watch over her. I suppose this is all you guys amount to, huh? Is all of White Deer just as unreliable? To think the leader couldn't even see through such an easy task and actually let such a vital clue slip right from under his nose. Li Dongyuan was at an utter loss, completely unable to refute. Fortunately, Lin Chushi woke up in that instance, pulling Ruan Nanju's attention away from the other. In the end, Ruan Nanju disregarded Li Dongyuan entirely, no longer bothering to concern himself with the other. Li Dongyuan laughed bitterly in his heart. He was even more curious about Ruan Nanju's true identity now. Truly, such an interesting woman was hard to come by. After Lin Chushi woke up, he also found out that Xu Jin disappeared. Well, take the drum with us when we go out tomorrow. Xu Jin was now missing, and no one knew whether she'd reappear. At the sight of Li Dongyuan, Ruan Nanju's mood grew foul and his expression hardened. He frostily spat, we should have done this alone from the very beginning. Li Dongyuan tapped his nose in embarrassment and let out a bitter smile. Lin Chushi sympathetically patted his shoulder. At the sidelines, Cheng Qianli was still stuffing his face with food. His appetite was honestly something on another level. It was truly impressive. No matter how many nauseating scenes he was faced with, in the end, he could still eat heartily without any reservations. By the end of the day, Ruan Nanju's face was black, and he was pissed as hell. As he had expected, Xu Jin did not return even after they left the group of towers. When the others saw that Lin Chushi's group was missing one person, they began pressuring them with questions. Ruan Nanju straightforwardly answered that she suddenly disappeared, and they didn't know where she went. Until they reached their residences, Li Dongyuan didn't dare approach Ruan Nanju, for fear he would provoke him further. After eating, he tactfully offered words of flattery to Lin Chushi, subtly asking the other to return to his room to calm Ruan Nanju down and quell his anger. He expressed that he didn't want for Ruan Nanju's fury to continue building up, only to suddenly explode. Lin Chushi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ruan Nanju probably had a valid reason to be so furious, so he didn't dare try to pacify him. Besides, whether this Li Dongyuan was a friend or foe was still under question. In any case, Lin Chushi certainly didn't want to get too familiar with him. Because of Xu Jin's disappearance, they were finally able to have a bed for themselves tonight. Ruan Nanju brought the drum back with him. The size of the drum wasn't that big, it was around the span of 2 adult hands. The wooden body of the drum was painted a deep shade of red, and the surface of the drum was made from supple human skin, stretched taut. Knocking lightly on it produced the most beautiful and rich timbre. As he sat on the bed, stroking the drum's surface, Ruan Nanju uttered, "Once we bring this with us tomorrow, it'll finally be able to confirm my suspicions. By the way, what was it that you wanted to say back then?" Lin Chushi was reminded of how Ruan Nanju was explaining something as they climbed the pagoda, but he only mentioned half of what he wanted to say, before being interrupted. Sisters are sisters. No matter what. However, whether they truly love each other is a completely different matter. Ruan Nanju continued, if she and her older sister supposedly have such a great, loving relationship, just why is she adamantly refusing to see her? He reached out and delicately trailed his finger across the drum surface. From an outsider's perspective, it looked as though he was smiling ever so affectionately. His current expression was soft, as though a wave of gentleness came over his features. Once dinner was over, everyone headed off to bed to sleep early. Today, they visited the group of towers, only for Shu Jin to vanish. No one knew whether she would reappear though. As he laid in bed, trying to sleep, Lin Chushi grew rather restless. He was somewhat uneasy and anxious, constantly tossing and turning. Beside him, Ruan Nanju softly asked if he couldn't fall asleep. Lin Chushi hummed. Yeah. Ruan Nanju got up from his bed and laid his body down next to the other. He extended his arms and wrapped them around the other's waist, pulling the other closer to his chest. His movements were completely natural, as he had done this plenty of times before. In mere seconds, Lin Chushi's body strangely relaxed. He vaguely mumbled, "Why is it that I always sleep so well whenever you hold onto me?" Ruan Nanju, maybe because I am the best drug you've ever had? Lin Chushi, maybe although he didn't know why he always slept so peacefully whenever Ruan Nanju was by his side. In any case, Lin Chushi quickly fell asleep. He thought he would sleep through the night until dawn without waking, but he ended up waking up in the middle of the night. As he came to, he felt a chill run down his spine. A haunting sensation of someone watching him. Lin Chushi slowly opened his eyes, only to be met with Ruan Nanju's sleeping visage. He sluggishly sat up and looked around the room, but found nothing out of ordinary. However, just when Lin Chushi thought that chilling feeling of someone watching him was just his imagination, a burst of iciness hit the top of his head. A sudden droplet of water slid down his forehead all the way to his chin. Lin Chushi instantly froze in place. He carefully raised his head, only to see a human-shaped creature drenched in viscous blood, crouching on the ceiling. It crooked its head to one side, and flashed an eerie smile at him. Lin Chushi, oh, fuck. Even though he was mentally prepared for something like this, he was still frightened out of his wits. Although his heartbeat ran wild and his body trembled violently, Lin Chushi forced himself to calm down. For a moment, Lin Chushi and that thing stared dead into each other, not even breaking eye contact. Its long, gangling fingers soon stretched out towards Lin Chushi. Her target was as clear as Daishe was aiming for Lin Chushi's scalp. Lin Chushi swiftly lowered his head to evade her attack. He was dripping in cold sweat from head to toe. By now, the creature's fingernails had transformed into sharp blades. He knew that if those points grazed him even slightly, his flesh would surely be carved. Skin, it was as if these were the only words that sinister creature could utter. Her demented black eyes stared fanatically at Lin Chushi's delicate, white skin. The expression marking its face was akin to need and craving, insatiable hunger. Frantically trying to escape the monster, Lin Chushi rolled off the bed. Ruan Nanju was still in a deep sleep, and seemed completely unaware to what was happening right now. Fortunately, the creature didn't seem to be interested in anyone else. It suddenly lunged for Lin Chushi. Lin Chushi swiveled on his heels and made a beeline for the door, only to find, to his greatest misfortune, that the door could not be opened. Skin the creature grinned wickedly at the sight before her eyes. Thick gurgles bubbled up from the back of her throat as she choked out, "Skin, I want your skin." Lin Chushi's mind was in shambles. After scanning his surroundings, he took a double take at the sack beside Ruan Nanja's pillow. Tucked inside that bulky bag was the crimson drum they had taken from the pagoda. All of a sudden, Lin Chushi turned around and made a dash for that bag. He then quickly whipped out the drum and struck hard on the surface twice. Badump, badump. The melodic tone of the drum reverberated throughout the room, and the monster instantly froze. The creature's expression soon twisted out of shape, looking as though it was deeply afraid of something. Its eyes uncontrollably darted all over, shifting around the entire room. No sooner, the creature fled through the window in a frenzied panic. Lin Chushi watched her retreat before exhaling deeply, breathing out a sigh of relief. Now that the danger had subsided, he bowed his head only to be stunned speechless. Perhaps it was because he used too much force. But the delicate surface of the drum had been torn apart, revealing its hollow inside. But what left him absolutely shocked was the object within the drum. It was a beautiful bronze key. At first glance, this key seemed rather unremarkable, possibly something not worth paying close attention to. However, Lin Chushi was awfully familiar with this key and knew of its importance. For he had used an exact key to open the heavy iron doors before. God fucking damn it. Lin Chushi finally understood what was going on in that moment. In his heart, he hurled endless curses at that son of a bitch, Li Dongyuan. He never would have expected that Li Dongyuan would give them a complete fake and utterly useless replica of this key. Ah, what should I do about this drum though? After Lin Chushi fished out the key, he examined the broken human skin drum before him, and his head began to ache. I wonder if it can be fixed. He turned it over in his hands for a while before deciding to give up. Tomorrow, he would ask Ruan Nanju if he could repair it. With that thought in mind, Lin Chushi headed back to bed in a daze. Eventually succumbing to sleep, the next morning, Lin Chushi was awakened by Ruan Nanju's voice. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Ruan Nanju sternly scolding Cheng Qianli. Cheng Qianli. Did you or did you not secretly play with the drum last night? An innocent Cheng Qianli insisted, I didn't. I swear I didn't do it. It's a human skin drum for God's sake. What fun is there to touch something like that, much less play with it? Ruan Nanju suspiciously narrowed his eyes at the young boy. Did you honestly not do it? Cheng Qianli groaned miserably. Arg, why won't you believe me, Ruan Nanju? Oh, trust me. I would certainly like to believe you. But need I explicitly remind you who it was that broke the Rubik's Cube in the previous door? The one who destroyed the only vital lead we had, Cheng Qianli. That's because I was bored, Ruan Nanju. Are you not bored now? On the verge of crying and tearing his hair out, Cheng Qianli screamed internally. Because of his past transgressions and mistakes, his words held zero credibility. Just what on earth could he do to prove to Ruan Nanju that he didn't break this goddamn thing? While a frustrated Cheng Qianli wallowed in lamentation, Lin Chushi, who was guiltily sitting on his bed, weakly raised his hand and admitted, it was me. Ruan Nanju turned around, glancing back at Lin Chushi. Oh, so it was you. Straightening his back, Cheng Qianli raised his chin up and puffed his chest. Happy that justice came fast. He beamed from ear to ear, looking forward to see his big brother severely reprimand Lin Chushi. He eagerly waited for punishment to fall upon the other. But disappointment soon came crashing down on him, hard. In the end, the next words out of his big brother's mouth were, "It's no big deal." Just be careful next time, okay? Cheng Qianli. Are you fucking kidding me? Be careful next time? What kind of unfair bullshit was he? Just some stepmother's hated child or some worthless fool who was picked out from a trash can? Lin Chushi was a tad ashamed, so he hurriedly went on to talk about the matter from last night. After hearing his account, Ruan Nanju asked him if he had been injured in the altercation. Lin Chushi shook his head before taking out the bronze key from his pocket. He then said, I found the key inside the drum. Ruan Nanju stared at the key in silence for 3 seconds, before spitting out a string of vulgarities. Evidently, that chap, Li Dongyuan, wasn't as innocent or harmless as he appeared to be. He never told them what he witnessed when he entered that bone pagoda, but to think he actually handed them a counterfeit key as an offering for their cooperation. If it wasn't for Lin Chushi encountering that monster last night, striking the drum to avoid being killed by that monster, accidentally breaking the drum in the process, and eventually finding the key inside, they would have still been left in the dark. I should have known something was up when he handed the key over so easily. He said that in return he simply wanted a hint for the next door, huh? Ruan Nanju's lips curving up in contempt, and he tightened his grip on the key. As it turned out, he had something like this up his sleeves. Lin Chushi couldn't help but admire this kind of man to a certain extent. It was quite incredible that he would actually come up with an idea like preparing a counterfeit key. Ruan Nanju stuffed the key into his pocket and said, Shu Jin is afraid of this drum. Since the drum is now gone, we don't have much time. I am afraid it'll be far more difficult for us to escape the next time we run into her. Lin Chushi nodded in complete agreement with Ruan Nanju. Although the reason was unknown, it was clear that Shu Jin was particularly fond of Lin Chushi. The others always slept like the dead, so it was always up to him to wake up every night to ensure their safety. I'll bring the drum to the temple today. Ruan Nanju mused, this world should be coming to an end very soon. Naturally, it was best for the world to come to an end sooner than later. Lin Chushi honestly did not want to meet Shu Jin again at night. Li Dongyuan apparently didn't realize that his scheme had been exposed. He still had the nerve to casually stroll up to them and greet Ruan Nanju familiarly. Truthfully speaking, his attractive appearance and model behavior were really deceptive. Even though Lin Chushi was well aware that the man before him was a complete bastard, he would somehow falter every time he caught sight of the other's gentle smile. As usual, Ruan Nanju's attitude towards him was far from kind. He didn't give him any face today either. With a few cold words directed at the other, Ruan Nanju drove him away. Hey! As he watched Li Dongyan's retreating figure, Ruan Nanju sneered nastily. Wouldn't it be interesting to see such a grand request that White Deer undertook fall to ruins? I wonder how Li Dongyuan would take responsibility for the repercussions resulting from a failed task. After breakfast, the crowd set off to the temple. They still hadn't found a single trace of Shu Jin, but since she appeared in Lin Chushi's room last night, they could only assume that she most likely followed the guide to return. With that in mind, she was probably hiding somewhere within the surrounding wilderness right now. Facing the temple once more, Lin Chushi's heart and mind were calm. Intending to climb to the top of the temple again, he and Ruan Nanju found the ladder they had previously used to go up. This time, they were going to offer the drum to the creature on the roof. The current task at hand was beyond risky. Lin Chushi repeatedly emphasized how dangerous this would be, but Ruan Nanju still insisted on going with him, leaving behind an impatient Cheng Qianli, anxiously staring at the stepladder. The two advanced onwards, cautiously making their way up the ladder. Lin Chushi was the first to step onto the wooden platform. When he arrived at the top, He discovered the pools of thick blood and chunks of raw flesh scattering the grounds had doubled since his last visit. The bloody remains seemed to be from the two individuals who had been skinned alive 2 days ago. Ruan Nanju hoisted himself onto the platform after him. This was his first time stepping onto the roof. After observing his surroundings, his eyes strayed to the dense jungle nearby. "What's the matter?" Lin Chushi noticed the subtle difference in his expression. "It appears something is following us," stated Ruan Nanju. "It's been following us since we left." Lin Chushi, could it possibly be Shu Jin? Ruan Nanju, possibly. Let's just give her the drum first. Lin Chushi nodded. Following the edge of the platform, the two steadily made their way towards the center of the temple's rooftop. With every footstep they took, the human skin drum underneath them issued the solid sound of a percussion. The temple was awfully quiet. The thick fog that clouded Lin Chushi's vision previously had completely lifted. Everything was strangely tranquil, bizarrely eerie. Ruan Nanju didn't venture too deep. He chose a suitable location and placed the drum in his hands onto the ground. Before speaking aloud, "Your younger sister refused to come, so we brought her drum over." As soon as he said this, the whole world seemed to have fallen into a state of suspension, and a hushed silence blanketed the area. Everything seemed to be frozen in place, even the breeze seemed to have stopped. The steady beat of a drum rang from afar, growing in intensity. Billows of thick haze suddenly poured into the area, surging towards their location and soon enveloping them. Badump, 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 badump. Something within the depths of this obscuring fog was furiously striking the drum's surface. Every powerful beat seemed to be overflowing with indignation and wrath. It was as though the drummer was finally venting all the overwhelming emotions that could no longer be suppressed in their heart. "Where is she?" The girl's voice echoed around them. "Where is she? It's so painful. Ah, it's so painful." Lin Chushi saw the girl emerge from the fog. Upon seeing the drum that Ruan Nanju brought up, she dragged her body towards it with her hands. Then softly placed her palms on top of the drum's shredded surface. "Not mine, not mine," the girl hysterically cried out. "Bring her here, bring her here." She violently seized the surface of the drum and ferociously tore at it. Lin Chushi didn't know whether it was merely a figment of his imagination. But he could have sworn that he heard plaintive cries coming from afar the moment she ripped the drum apart. The girl seemed to have also heard the faint screams. Her bloody mouth instantly opened wide, the ends curving up in sheer ecstasy. You are she fervidly slammed her hands against the surface underneath their feet. Almost immediately, the grotesque skinless monsters with the sharp blades leapt out of the temple and charged towards the nearby jungle. Lin Chushi was struck speechless by this scene. Ruan Nanju, on the other hand, was extremely relieved. He chuckled wryly. Sure enough, these sisters' relationship isn't as loving as we reckoned it to be. He then lifted his head and gazed at the wilderness in the distance. Lin Chushi wondered, is it finally over? Ruan Nanju lowered his twinkling eyes. Perhaps. After all, who wouldn't want for this hellish world to come to its finale sooner? Chapter 38. Leaving the creatures that ran out of the temple soon returned, lugging along someone they knew very well. It was as Ruan Nanju had figured. Shu Jin was stealthily trailing after them in the jungle. Cutting a sari figure, she was captured by several monsters and dragged out of the jungle against her will. A mix of pure horror and panic colored her features, and plaintive cries for help spilled endlessly from her mouth. If it weren't for him witnessing the disturbing sight of her peeling her own skin in the middle of the night, Lin Chushi might be tried to save her. But now, he didn't move a single muscle. He merely watched on as the monsters hauled Shujin all the way to the top of the wooden platform and shoved her before the skinless young girl covered in blood. "Save me! Save me!" Having caught sight of Lin Chushi and Ruan Nanju standing beside her, her first response was to beg for help. Snot and tears messily streaked her face, and she looked to be seconds away from fainting. Ruan Nanju stared at her indifferently, not even moved in the slightest. Shu Jin desperately wanted to escape from the monster's clutches, but her hands and feet were bound. The little girl on the platform supported her body with her palms, sluggishly crawling towards Shu Jin. She then extended her arms and pressed her blood-stained hands on the other's face, her fingers curling into claws. "Give it back to me, give it back, ah!" A mournful shriek ripped out from her throat. Like a rabid animal, Shu Jin struggled like crazy when she saw the girl paste her palms onto her skin. The girl's fingers dug deep into her flesh. Soon after, the girl separated her hands, pulling outwards with force, and a crisp ripping sound reverberated in the air. Just like that, Shu Jin's skin was torn apart. "Ah! No, big sister, stop it, ah!" Any ordinary person would have long been dead after this, but Shu Jin was still resisting, fighting back with all her might. In fact, she seemed to be regaining strength with each passing second, and the deep fear in her eyes gradually began to subside. Soon replaced by another intense emotion, Lin Chushi clearly recognized extreme reluctance. At long last, Shu Jin's skin was completely ripped off. Caressing the skin in her arms as though it was a precious treasure, the little girl tittered gleefully. Her piercing laughter oozed with sheer delight. Shu Jin's gaze fell on the broken drum, and the burning resentment in her eyes grew ever stronger. "Why are you doing this? Didn't you already agree to give it to me? You promised me." "Shut up, you liar!" the skinless girl viciously roared, murderous wrath engulfing her. The drum beneath her thrummed violently, issuing a thunderous bang. She was incredibly furious, seemingly wanting to eat the person before her alive until nothing was left. "Oh, my little sister. My dearest, most beloved little sister. Have you any idea how much I've suffered searching for you far and wide? Just where have you been? Where were you?" Shu Jin, who had also become a skinless creature like her sister, couldn't seem to answer her older sister's questions. Even now, she looked so much older than the little girl. No one would have guessed they were twins from their appearance. "Fortunately, you've returned. You're finally back now." As she spoke, she carefully straightened out the flimsy skin she had peeled from Shu Jin, and gingerly put in on her own skinless body. Pure bliss overcame her features, as if she finally got to wear a long-awaited wedding dress. "My dear little sister, have you ever, even for a brief second, missed me after you left me like that?" As soon as that strip of flesh came in contact with the girl's body, it began transforming and merging with her, gradually being fitted to her figure. The shape of her body began to change, and from a gory, skinless monster, she soon became a lovely young girl. Now, the little girl looked exactly like the twins Lin Chushi had seen on the photograph Shu Jin had taken from the diary. As of this moment, Shu Jin and her sister had completely switched positions. Shu Jin was naked, her flesh exposed and her eyes flaring with bitterness and unwillingness. But she simply could not go against the person before her. Now donning her new skin, the young girl giggled delightfully and scrabbled around Shu Jin. She ordered the monsters to make Shu Jin kneel before her, then raised her hand and gently stroked the top of Shu Jin's head. She laughed mirthfully. "Do not be afraid, my dear little sister. I've prepared so many great things for you. As long as you come back, big sister here will forgive you." Take a look. As she said this, she enthusiastically clapped her hands. Lin Chushi felt the ground beneath his feet quake. He lowered his head, only to be startled at the sight of the human skin surface underneath him start to squirm and pulse. The masses of skin that were stitched together to create this temple roof began to issue groans of pain, as though alive. It was as if the original dying souls were now trapped inside those gauze-like strips of flesh, now forced to breathe and live a tortuous nightmare. Kakeke the girl let out a satisfied smile at the anguished moans. She gripped Shu Jin's head and said with a brilliant beam, "Hurry up and show them some gratitude. If not for them, how could I possibly find you?" Naturally, Shu Jin refused to give any thanks. After all, if it weren't for Lin Chushi and them taking her drum, she wouldn't have chased after them all the way here and have been caught by her older sister. "Hurry up and speak. Speak." The girl's smile gradually morphed into a crazed, sinister expression. "Why are you so quiet now, huh? I thought you loved to run your mouth, I said, speak." She aggressively seized Shu Jin's arm and tugged sharply, nearing tearing off Shu Jin's arm. Shu Jin screamed in pain, and trembling hatefully, she choked out, "Thank you." "Kekekeke." The girl began laughing, once again. Ruan Nanju said, "Now that you've found her, won't you tell us where the door is?" The girl nodded at his words, before extending her hand towards Ruan Nanju. "Give me that bone flute." "That is my bone." She then tenderly stroked Shu Jin's broken leg, pity filling her eyes. "My dear little sister, your bones. Where have you hidden your own bones?" Shu Jin shook her head. "I haven't hidden them anywhere. It was those people who got rid of them." The girl abruptly stopped laughing. Her face grew stoic, utterly emotionless. The look in her eyes grew incomparably cold as she stared down at Shu Jin, and she frostily spat, "Since that is the case, I will lend you some bones to use in the meantime. Once they are all dead, I will chop off their legs and give their calves to you." Shu Jin remained silent. Currently, she had no skin on her body, so they could barely make out any features or expressions on her ghastly face, but Lin Chushi was certain that she was completely afraid and spiteful now. The young girl retrieved the bone flute and flicked her wrist, cutting through the surface of the thrumming drum below her body, and revealing the black, iron door concealed underneath. "If you will." The girl gestured with a polite smile. Ruan Nanju approached the iron door, fished out the key, and opened it. A small slip of paper fluttered to the ground the moment he unlocked it. Ruan Nanju instantly reached down to pick it up. "Let's go." With that, Ruan Nanju stepped into the open door. Cheng Qianli followed after him. Lin Chushi was the third in line. But just when he planned to enter the door, the young girl suddenly ran to his side and smacked his back, hard. Lin Chushi was taken aback for a minute until he heard the little girl say, "She likes you a lot, so I don't like you at all." His back was stinging from her slap, but he didn't dare stay there any longer. Without missing another beat, he stepped through the door. After passing through an endless tunnel, the three of them finally returned to reality. Although he finally managed to come back to the real world, Lin Chushi felt awful. Just when he was about to open his mouth and say something, a burst of dizziness struck him. He staggered backwards, his mind spinning and his vision blurring, and crumpled to the ground. Darkness. Boundless darkness. After drifting aimlessly in this cold, dark void for eternities, Lin Chushi was finally embraced by the advent of light. As soon as he awoke, he caught sight of Ruan Nanju holding his phone, quarreling with someone on the other end. Unlike in the door world, the Ruan Nanju in the real world was constantly expressionless and impossible to argue against. His tone was deadpan, his words, scathing and sly, and his attitude, unbearably domineering. Within seconds, the caller was left speechless, unable to reply. "You woke up?" When he saw that Lin Chushi was awake, Ruan Nanju hung up the phone. Lin Chushi nodded groggily. What happened to me? Ruan Nanju explained, acute pneumonia. You were nearly taken to the ICU. Because he was struck before he left the other world, Lin Chushi expected to fall ill or become injured. But he certainly didn't expect the repercussions to be so severe. That little bitch. Ruan Nanju was in a foul mood. But at least we got some benefits out of that. Lin Chushi repeated, benefits? Ruan Nanju took something out of his pocket and handed it to Lin Chushi. It was a thick journal and its cover looked rather familiar. Lin Chushi turned it over in his hand, only to realize it was the diary they had found at the top of the pagoda. Surprisingly, Ruan Nanju was able to bring it out with him. Lin Chushi opened the journal and flipped through the pages, only to see that the contents had changed. Now, there were beautiful, vibrant paintings that seemed to be telling a story. If not all, the material of the pages seemed to have changed as well. The pages felt somewhat like sheepskin to the touch. But based on their experience in the door world, Lin Chushi guessed the pages probably weren't made from sheepskin normally. You can't take objects from the door world out to the real world. Ruan Nanju added, however, there are some exceptions. Certain items, like the stud earring on your ear or the notebook in front of you, can be brought out. All of the items that can be taken from the door world are very special. Lin Chushi studied the journal. What's so special about this notebook? Ruan Nanju replied, I do not know yet. I'd have to examine it. Since this is something you found, you should be the one to keep it. Lin Chushi was about to refuse, but just then, Ruan Nanju received another call. He glanced at the number. Before standing up and exiting the ward to answer the phone, Lin Chushi lowered his head and opened the diary once again. After thumbing through the book, he discovered that its detailed contents recounted the tale of the two sisters. It all started on a remote mountain village, where all life revolved around great sacrificial ceremonies. As tradition went, every once in a while, the purest maiden amongst all of the youthful, chaste ladies in the village would be selected as a sacrifice. In order to please the gods, the maiden would be skinned alive, and her supple flesh would be used to craft a beautiful, crimson drum that would be placed inside the high tower where thousands of others were buried. The sisters' relationship was very close, heartwarmingly loving. The younger sister was lively and ever so optimistic, as radiant as the dazzling sun, whereas the older sister was beautiful and incredibly wise, as cool as the alluring moon. But one day, misfortune struck and the younger sister caught the priest's attention. The younger sister was forcibly taken away from her home. Her flesh was ripped from her body and made into a drum. The older sister realized that her younger sister had disappeared, and persistently began searching far and wide for her beloved sibling. Sadly, this was not the end of this tragic tale, but just the very beginning. The younger sister survived. Not only did she manage to evade death, but she even became a skinless abomination. Having awakened in the depths of the pagoda, she began wandering around the village, preying on those who were alone and peeling their skins to wear as her own. However, the younger sister soon found that the villagers' skins did not suit her. She needed a different skin, a perfect match. And, of course, the first person who came to mind was her older twin sister, her perfect other half. Weaving a web of lies and deceptions, the younger sister, who had transformed into a gruesome monstrosity, misled her older sister into the temple. Taking advantage of the situation, the younger sister easily carved her older sister's flesh and claimed it for herself, draping it over her own skinless body. Fearing that her older sister would chase after her, she then cut off both of her older sister's legs. And just like that, the pitiful older sister was abandoned in the temple. However, just as how the younger sister who was skinned alive didn't die earlier, the deceived older sister also survived. Her burning hatred and resentment etched itself deeper into her heart and mind, corroding her very soul and gradually warping her into an even more terrifying monster. She even crafted a bone flute out of her dismembered legs, and began manipulating the other sacrifices whose skins were taken from them. Unfortunately, the temple restricted her abilities. The older sister was trapped there, day after day, waiting, and waiting, and waiting relentlessly for the day that she'd be able to reclaim her flesh. As time passed by, the younger sister, who coveted her older sister's skin, grew up into an adult. And it was at this point in time that Lin Chushi and the others entered their world. Lin Chushi finished reading the whole story before calmly closing the book. His fingers trailed over the cover and pages, rubbing and probing, but he still could not understand what was so special about this journal. At that moment, Ruan Nanju finished answering his call, and he walked back inside, inquiring, "How are you feeling?" Lin Chushi coughed a few times. "Fine." Ruan Nanju sat down beside him and analyzed his current situation. "Now, you are also officially on your 5th door. With that said, your next door will probably arrive half a year later, more or less. Take this time to recuperate and take care of yourself." He suddenly paused mid-sentence. "Your being gravely injured was unexpected. I had other plans, but it seems they can only be postponed for now." "What plans?" wondered Lin Chushi. "Ruan Nanju, it doesn't matter right now. Besides, there's no point in discussing my plans with you if you haven't fully recovered." Lin Chushi had a feeling that the arrangements Ruan Nanju made were quite important, but the Ruan Nanju before him wasn't the same Ruan Nanju as the one in the Door Worlds. Although he was still a cold beauty, in a sense, he was more like a piercing ice statue that emitted a chilling and threatening aura. If this were the Door World, Lin Chushi would definitely have the guts to press the other for answers. But facing the cold Ruan Nanju in the real world, Lin Chushi only nodded meekly and no longer asked any questions. Perhaps having realized that Lin Chushi woke up, Cheng Qianli soon strolled into the ward with a basket of fruits. Shaking his head, he looked at the other and sighed exaggeratedly. "Chushi, you're really unlucky, you know that? Most people wouldn't be injured in the Door World." Ruan Nanju, who was listening at the side, suddenly interrupted, spoiling Cheng Qianli's fun and killing the mood. "That's right. Generally, most people would not be injured but would instantly die." Lin Chushi, Cheng Qianli, "Big brother Ruan, you're so mean." Not long after Cheng Qianli came in, Ruan Nanju received another call and hurried away. Upon seeing how busy the other was, Lin Chushi inquired about the situation. "It's not a big deal," Cheng Qianli said. "It's just that White Deer has started asking about Zhu Meng's identity. The organization, White Deer, is actually pretty large. They are usually able to find or solve anything they're searching for or investigating. But they definitely, 100%, would never figure out that Zhu Meng is actually our boss." Lin Chushi, "Oh, I see." Truthfully, if he hadn't seen it with his own 2 eyes, Lin Chushi would never have even guessed that the melodramatic Zhu Meng inside the Door World was, in actuality, a cross-dressing Ruan Nanju. Lin Chushi ended up having to lay in bed for a whole month, all because that little girl slapped his back in the Door World. When he finally returned to the villa, the first thing he did was rush off to find Chestnut. Chestnut was lazily resting on the sofa. At the sight of Lin Chushi, it bared its fangs and claws like a growling tiger. It expressed immense disdain at the other. Within seconds, it got up, twisting its head and swishing its buttock, eventually leaping away and leaving Lin Chushi staring sorrowfully at its retreating figure. On the verge of tears, Lin Chushi nearly broke down on the spot. It was only after Cheng Qianli stood in front of him, carrying Toast in his arms, and let Lin Chushi touch Toast's fluffy butt that Lin Chushi finally calmed himself. Toast stuck out its chubby, bread-like butt that was unique to corgis, and it gazed playfully at Lin Chushi, its beady black eyes sparkling with childish innocence. In any case, Lin Chushi's heart was touched deeply. And he didn't do anything drastic in the end. A few days after Lin Chushi returned to the villa, he received a phone call from his close friend, Wu Qi.